The champagne sparkled, the chandeliers gleamed, and Lila Montgomery, the youngest self-made female CEO in America, floated through her own charity gala like she owned the night. But in the midst of applause and toasts, her vision blurred. A wave of dizziness swept over her. 1 second she was standing tall in her designer gown, the next, darkness swallowed her whole. When Lila's eyes fluttered open, she wasn't on the plush velvet carpet of her penthouse suite, nor in a sterile hospital room. Instead, she was lying on a worn mechanic's bench, the scent of oil and metal thick in the air. Panic prickled her chest. "Where am I?" she whispered, voice trembling. A tiny hand reached for hers. Lila's gaze fell on a little girl, no older than 6, with tousled hair and wide, curious eyes. The girl smiled softly. "You're safe now. I told Daddy you'd be okay." Confusion swirled in Lila's mind. Who was this little girl? And who was her daddy? The garage door creaked open, and a tall man wiped his hands on a rag, his face lined with quiet strength. "She's awake," he said, voice calm but firm. "You fainted at the party. We brought you here to rest." Lila's heart raced, not from the fall, but from the unexpected warmth of care from strangers who had nothing to gain from helping her. For the first time in years, she felt like someone saw her, not the CEO, not the millionaire, but simply Lila. And in that small, cluttered garage, surrounded by the hum of engines and the laughter of a little girl, something inside her shifted. The garage smelled of oil and gasoline, but somehow it felt comforting. Lila sat up slowly, her designer heels forgotten in the corner, and watched as the little girl skipped around, humming a tune that made Lila's chest tighten with a strange, gentle warmth. "Do you like cars?" the girl asked, plopping down beside Lila. I know very little about them," Lila admitted, brushing her hair back, still disoriented. The man, who introduced himself as Daniel, smiled softly. "You don't need to. But sometimes, even engines teach us things. Patience. Care. Paying attention." As Daniel returned to his workbench, Lila found herself captivated by the girl's innocence. She didn't ask about her money, her fame, or her accomplishments. She just wanted to show her a small toy car she'd brought. And when Lila handed it to her, the girl's eyes sparkled in pure delight. Hours slipped by unnoticed. Lila shared stories of her childhood, of the sacrifices that had shaped her. Daniel listened quietly, never interrupting. And in return, he shared simple truths about life she hadn't heard in years, that worth wasn't measured in dollars, and that the smallest acts of kindness often mattered more than any business deal. When Lila finally stood to leave, she realized she hadn't thought once about her gala, her speeches, or her social media. For the first time, she felt lighter, unburdened, as if the world outside could wait. The little girl tugged at her sleeve. "Promise you'll come back?" Lila smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "I promise." And as she stepped back into her high-rise world, she carried with her a lesson she had long forgotten. True power was not in wealth, but in compassion, in noticing the world, and people, around her. Back in her penthouse, Lila Montgomery's life felt impossibly loud. The city lights shimmered beneath her floor-to-ceiling windows, but the echoes of laughter from the little girl in the garage still lingered in her mind. The gala, the accolades, the endless calls, they all suddenly seemed shallow. Then came the call. One of her major investors had a problem, a deal gone wrong, and they wanted Lila to push her employees hard, cut corners, and secure the profit. The old Lila would have agreed without hesitation, prioritizing success over everything. But now, something inside her hesitated. Images of the garage, of Daniel patiently teaching the little girl to thread a toy engine, flooded her thoughts. What would kindness do? She whispered to herself. By morning, she made her decision. Lila canceled the ruthless plan and instead arranged for the employees to be supported while fixing the investors' issue fairly. It wasn't the easiest choice, and it angered some powerful people, but the sense of peace it brought her was priceless. A few days later, Lila returned to the garage. The little girl ran to her, arms wide. "You came back," she exclaimed. "I did," Lila said, kneeling to hug her. Daniel watched, a proud smile on his face. "It seems some lessons are bigger than boardrooms," he said softly. Lila realized she had been blind to a world full of small, beautiful moments. In saving herself from the trap of ambition, she had discovered something greater, that real wealth lay in empathy, in the courage to act kindly even when no one was watching. As they watched the sunset behind the city skyline, Lila felt a sense of completeness she had never known. She had fallen that night, but she had risen into a life guided by heart, not just power. And in that rise, she found the truest version of herself. Weeks passed, but Lila's life never returned to the way it had been. The charity gala was still a glittering event, and the city still buzzed with deals and deadlines, but she moved through it differently now, with eyes wide open to people, to moments, to the quiet acts of kindness that so often went unnoticed. She spent more time at Daniel's garage, learning simple things she had never cared to notice before: how to listen without judgment, how patience could teach more than instruction, how a child's laughter could heal wounds even a billionaire couldn't fix. And the little girl, bright, fearless, and endlessly curious, became a constant reminder that wealth alone couldn't fill the human heart. Then came an unexpected surprise. A struggling neighborhood workshop that Daniel had once mentioned needed funding to keep kids off the streets and teach them trades. Lila didn't hesitate. She provided the resources, but more importantly, she rolled up her sleeves alongside Daniel and the children, guiding them, sharing stories, laughing, and truly connecting. One evening, as they closed the garage doors and the little girl waved goodbye, Lila realized she had discovered a truth she had never known in boardrooms or penthouses, that the greatest impact comes from selflessness, from showing up when no one expects it, and from caring simply because it matters. Lila had started as a millionaire CEO, defined by status and achievement. But she would end as something richer, someone whose legacy was measured in hearts touched, lives changed, and compassion shared. And as she walked into the twilight, hand in hand with the little girl, Lila smiled. Life had a funny way of humbling you, and sometimes, fainting at a party could lead to the most extraordinary awakening of all.